Okay, welcome to the May meeting of the Alachua Astronomy Club. And we'll have the usual stuff, a few announcements and whatnot up front. And then Matt will be giving a members corner on the Very Small Array initiative. Then we'll take our 15-minute refreshment break and then come back for James's planetarium show about Jack Horkheimer, Child of the Universe. So some of us old timers remember Jack Horkheimer. Getting a lot of feedback here. Hello.
Yeah, we already ran on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Since we last met, we've got some new members. Trish Arnold, you're here, right? Where's Trish? Hello, Trish. Oh, she's back there. They're talking. Leora Estera, are you here? How about Mariam Corsani? How about Bernie Marrero? Or George Timmis? George, welcome. Michael Tummage. Okay, do we have any visitors here? Anyone for the first time? Welcome. What?
First time at AAC.
Okay, great. What's your name?
Jane Wood.
Great to have you here. Okay, we have 183 members now. All right, I can't see this completely. We had a real nice star party on the 19th of last month out at Chiefland. And as you can see, even the pets are astro-friendly. We have the right colored lights. As far as upcoming star parties, we've got one coming up on Friday at Rosemary Hill. And then the very following night, Saturday, out at Chiefland. So we hope you can make one or both of those. Don't know what's the weather forecast looking like? Anybody know? Okay, great. Okay, this is just a reminder, excuse me, we've got some really great telescopes in the club that are there for members to check out and use. And we're finding that not too many folks are using them. So please use them. I mean, we got some really great equipment. The top two there are fully automated telescopes, which are amazing. We've got some reflectors and refractors. So, you know, just see Richard or Tom. Raise your hand, Tom and Richard. They're the guys, excuse me, they're the guys that can sign those up for. I'm sorry, I keep coughing. We've got a really great ATM coming up out at Chiefland. It'll be amateur astrospectroscopy. And the guest speaker via Zoom will be Tom Field. He's the gentleman who wrote the software program that is RS Spec. And Matt's getting us a copy of that for the club. And then for the ATM, we're going to use Richard's diffraction grading. And if that works well, here's what you will be seeing at that ATM. So you can look at a star and it can show you all the constituent components of the different elements in that star. So this should be really cool. And if we really like it, then the club will buy one of those diffraction gratings, and then members can check out that kit, the software and the grading, and you can go home and do your own spectroscopy. Pretty cool, huh? All right, we had a real nice journal club with the director of Yerkes. That went very well. And if you missed it, it's on YouTube. So just go to YouTube and plug in Alachua Astronomy Club, and you'll find our meetings and our journal clubs there. Okay, upcoming journal club. Dava Sobel authored The Glass Universe, really good book. That'll be on July 15th, and we do those via Zoom, of course. You know, that will show up, maybe, yeah, it's already on the schedule on the website, so it'll automatically send you emails about that. Okay, the third and final repair team went out to Newberry Star Park and put some paint on the inside and outside, and we're pretty much done. Jerry Sanscrane and I are going to go out and put the awning over the door, but other than that, we're done. So thank you so much for all of these people that helped. It makes a really big difference. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Matt, who's going to talk to you about the very small array. I just muted that because I'm going to make a lot of racket with it. And if you know how to make that go away, you can do that on that short.
I don't know if I'll need to, but I guess we'll find out. Okay. Oop.
I muted it, so just slide it, it should be fine.
There we go. All righty. Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you. So the very small array, let me move this down because I know I'm a loudspeaker, is just a project that we started to up just recently. So kind of bear with us. It's kind of in its infancy, but we'll kind of talk a little bit about kind of what we've done recently with it. So kind of a little primer on astronomy in the age of social media right now. Astronomy really is kind of it's a solitary hobby a lot of the times. So we're kind of looking to kind of address that a little bit. Kind of see the lone astronomer sitting in the field by himself with his telescope. It's fun, but we think there could be a little bit more to it. And one of the key components to the social media aspect of astronomy are these new smart telescopes. Everybody knows about them, surely. I know you're probably sick of hearing me talk about them. There's more of it tonight, so sorry about that. But they really do just make things so easy for just about anybody to take images, post them on social media, where once we used to take pictures of on Instagram and share what we had for dinner. Now you can take pictures of nebulae and galaxies. So we're kind of looking to have the next step of that. So kind of the initial idea was Guy, Early, and myself were just talking about different ways that we kind of develop relationships between our two clubs. SPAC is the St. Petersburg Astronomy Club. AAC is obviously the club that you joined. So we're just kind of looking to build relationships. We're so close to each other that the astronomy hobby is so small. There's no reason for us to not intermingle, to kind of seek that common life out in the galaxy. So we've got some friends down the road, so we wanted to kind of build that relationship. And then again, these smart telescopes are great for beginners, but what better opportunity is there to have a network of folks that you can communicate with to ask those questions? Hey, I've got this new smart telescope. What the heck do I do with it? So we build a community around that, but then also just to have fun. You'll see a little bit later where we basically threw a star party on a random weekend, and it was a heck of a lot of fun. So we hope that you'll join us. So the project is called The Very Small Array. You obviously knew that based on the title. It's kind of organized in social media. So Facebook, there's a Facebook group where most everybody communicates, at least for that initial round. We're looking to expand upon that. The first round was really open to our club, anybody at Chiefland Astronomy Village, and then the St. Petersburg Club. And then our first equipment was with the C-Star S50, because that seems to be the one that's penetrated the market the most. You see C-Stars everywhere. So we're looking to use that low-hanging fruit to do what we have. And then just, again, we want to observe together and have fun. So those were the kind of the three pillars that we built it around. The one thing that I learned being a new imager myself is that you can never have enough data. So to kind of go back is why we want to do this. These things just want more data. So especially with the Dwarf 3, I happened to be, this movie popped up. It reminded me of my youth. So I thought, oh my God, was looking at the two eyes on my desk, Johnny 5 on my computer screen. And so I had to kind of pull that up. If everybody remembers a short circuit from back in the day. So need more input. My ELI 5, if everybody doesn't know, is it Explain It to Me Like I'm 5. It's a group on Reddit that really kind of looks for specialized topics, but break it down to the lay person. So somebody explained it to me that think of a white sheet of paper or a napkin, for example, and light travels, but on a image sensor, it doesn't, you can take a picture and you're not going to see that full image until you just add more time. So you take these individual frames and stack and stack and stack. So it's just like a pepper mill. If you do one shake, you'll get a little bit on there. You'll see the big bright stuff, as it were. So you'll see some stars and whatnot. Do a little bit more, you'll start to see that middle image. You'll start to see some detail, but then with a very small array or any imaging, if you get a lot, you'll start to really see some detail. So that's really what we were looking to accomplish for that. And this is more aligned with that. So that 10-second sub, 1 second sub, you can kind of see a little bit of detail. On the screen, you can't see a dang thing, but in here, you'll see a little bit of faint green. Here in the middle, you'll start to see a little bit more, but here you get a little bit more. So the idea of shared imaging together, what I can do in 1 hour, this can do in significantly more. So that first meeting happened here just a couple months ago out at Chiefland Astronomy Village. We had 14 members who actually brought their scopes out, participated. Most of them were St. Petersburg. We hope to get more folks from Alachua next time. And then a couple of Chiefland folks popped over to kind of look at us. So this is usually the rig that I set up. So I have a couple of smart scopes that I'll set up, and they collect data at that slow rate. I'm only collecting one person's worth of data. But when we get everybody together, we hopefully, if my video will show, oh, gotta go to a link. No worries. Basically, it's just a flyby view of all the telescopes that we had. Here's kind of a still from that video in case it didn't work out. So we had about 20 different telescopes of different makes and models and sizes out on there. But then going back to it, it really felt like a star party. This was any other weekend, no special event other than just we made a call to folks to say, hey, you want to come bring your smart telescopes out and play with us? So we filled the field at Chiefland. It really, it felt like a star party. So it was really a lot of fun. So our targets on night one, we spent just a couple hours. We didn't want to dominate everybody's time. So we thought we wanted to be pretty conservative about it. Hey, if you want to come and give us a couple hours and then observe on your own. So really, this is just based off of 2 hours worth of time with everybody pointing to the same thing. So we hope to show you a little bit about the benefits of kind of working together. So if you look at the magnitudes, these are all pretty faint objects. I mean, we're in the 10s, 11s. To compare, the Orion Nebula is a Mag 4, Andromeda is 3.1. So we really wanted to test our ability. It's easy to do the big bright stuff, but we wanted to go a little bit deeper and really test this little 50mm scope to see just what it could do. So here's kind of where we ended up. So of the 14 members, we had 11 scopes that contributed data. For whatever reason, folks either pointed at the wrong target, didn't save their data, didn't turn the damn thing on. I like to say, when you get a group together, none of us are as dumb as all of us. So we had some pretty decent results nonetheless. So we were able to capture in just 2 hours of 2 hours of work, a combined total of 7.8 hours of actual imaging data. A satellite comes through, everybody's going to see that satellite, so that kicks it out. The cloud comes through, the telescope, a breeze, so lots of failure points. So, but we were pretty pleased with what we were able to accomplish. And then Markarian's change. So if this is M86 right here, again, it's a faint fuzzy, it's a 50mm scope. So bear that in mind. But to be able to pull out all these other little things, we were pretty pleased with. It's a pretty challenging target, but we wanted to really kind of resolve that. And I'm curious to see how these look on a big screen, because what I see and what you guys see may be different. So the Nino Galaxy, we pulled about 8 hours worth of data, but you can really start to see. And then a caveat to this as well, I'm pretty new to processing, and these are the processes that I did. So if you put it in the hands of Richard or somebody who knows what the heck they're doing, they might be able to get a little bit more data. But I really wanted to kind of over process this to see, I mean, we're starting to pull out individual like dust lanes. So we were really pretty pleased with that. Again, 50mm scope, but teamwork makes the dream work. This was NGC 2903, which was kind of a target we just sort of stumbled upon. It's sort of a solitary elliptical galaxy kind of in the head of Leo. And we were really pleased. I mean, we're starting to get way more detail. And again, we had a lot more success. So we're getting close to 12 hours of data based off of just the 2 hours of work on that. So, but then this is the one that I was the most pleased with. So this is Thor's helmet. If you go back and see, and we'll show you again what we were working with, just one person working on their own. But I had no idea when I looked at this. I had processed this image a year ago, and it looked like Thor's helmet. You couldn't see much else other than the kind of the spikes of the helmet, whatever you want to call it, and then the helmet itself. But we're starting to see detail. I had no idea there was all this nebulosity out here. And then if you really kind of look on a really high quality monitor, you're starting to see detail down into here and up in here. So we were just thrilled with what we were able to accomplish in about 15 hours worth of data. But the great thing about this is anybody can be imaging from really anywhere. The software will take things, and if it's twisted a little bit, you can really contribute and add. So I know Warren gave me some data, hours worth of data that would be just as valid. So while we wanted to keep it initially something that we do locally and observe locally, we are kind of talking about, and Richard and I actually spoke a little bit today at dinner about trying to branch out, and you don't necessarily have to come. You can collect data on your own and contribute in. So kind of long-term plans, we may build off on that. So again, a reminder, this is what we have. And then this, just one person working on their own. Now this isn't processed, so it's not a fair representation, but you don't see much detail over here. And then this is what we were able to accomplish. So we were pretty pleased with that. And then we focused primarily on the C-Star S50, but we noticed we had a couple of Dwarf 3 units. And it's one of my favorite scopes. And a couple of the other guys down there really liked it. So we, over the 2 nights, put both of our units on it for a long time. So we, in 18 hours, we were able to get some really fine detail on the jellyfish nebula. Just up at here, even the jellyfish, if you again on a better quality monitor and higher resolution, you'll really start to see some of the details in the clouds up here.
Jerry sends Springy from the chat asks, how can we upload and download the data?
So if you join the Facebook group, the master files are on here. So all 4 of the masters are in, there's a Facebook group that you can join where the files are there. We haven't come up with a way quite yet for folks to contribute, but if there's interest in it, we think we have found a solution where folks can contribute kind of all together. So you don't necessarily have to come out with us to do it. You can join the group and then contribute on your own, and then we'll just figure out a way to aggregate it and then process that. So coming up in the future, look out for more of that. If anybody has any interest and wants to pull out their phone, there's a QR code that you can scan. I'm not looking at anybody for their phones, but I don't see any phones out. So feel free to join that. But again, if you look it up on Facebook, it's just the very small array. We have talked with a couple folks at various star parties who actually kind of through some way or another found out about what we're doing. And so we may, you'll definitely see an instance of the VSA out at Chiefland for Astrofest, the Winter Star Party. If you come to the Keys, we'll definitely be down there as well. If you haven't gone to the Winter Star Party, this year was my first. I highly recommend it. There are few better places to be than in the Keys in January in your shorts on the beach observing. So
yeah, is there an option for people who don't have Facebook?
Correct. That's exactly what
there isn't as of yet. If this turns into a thing and there's a bigger group, we can make things available. If you reach out to me, my email is just matthew.peters@alachuaastronomyclub.org. Yes, we can figure out a way to, I can at least get the data to you, and we can figure out a way. If it turns into a thing where, hey, we need to make a website, then it's the thing and we need to make a website. This was just a side project that we threw together. I made a stupid logo for it, not thinking anything of it. But we had a heck of a lot of fun. So that's why we want to kind of bring it forward. I was looking into the crowd and I didn't see it, but it's, yes, Matthew with 2 T's is the only maybe. Yeah, for whatever reason down here in Florida, a lot of people spell, when I say my name, they'll put it with 1 T as if I'm a doormat. But and again, beyond that, we are looking to expand. So not only ZWO, and Dwarf Lab, any smart scope, but these are the two that are aware of this, aware of the group, and are looking to possibly support it in the future, be it either through donation, through just different things. So the work that we do with our club and with Chiefland, we interact with them pretty regularly. So they definitely have their eye on it. So I don't expect it to be a big thing, but hey, if they throw a scope that somebody can just use, we've already got some available for our club. So if you want to join or participate in the VSA, the club has 2 scopes that can be your gateway to that. So, and then we'll also look to kind of add members from other areas, because we've had folks from Virginia, from kind of up the East Coast reach out to us. So we're keeping it small and local, but we may expand if there's a desire for it. But that's pretty much it. So this is just sort of my last cover slide, just sort of the images that we accomplished in a couple nights of playing in a field in Chiefland.
Are you the master pix and site guy for the group, or are the other folks doing that as well?
So we do have other folks will do their own imaging and share it. I wanted to highlight mine. I should have brought Jamie he's a member of our club and the St. Pete Club. Actually, he was the cover person for Amateur Astronomy magazine. He posted some images that he processed. I just didn't ask him quickly enough to pull his data, but they're very, very similar, because the Sea Star, it's a limited scope, so it has limited capacity. So our results were pretty similar, but get more time, get better, more and more data. That's where I think where somebody like Jamie his experience would start to come through. So, but yeah, that's about it. And I guess I'll turn it back over to
Any other questions
today.
for Matt?
Yeah.
Does the combining of the images from the different scopes, does that happen in real time, or is it saved individually and then it has to be?
No, it's all saved individually. So we had everybody did it separately, and then in the morning we had everybody connect to one laptop, and then it was all on one hard drive, and then we processed it through PixInsight, stacked it, and we sent out the master to save everybody from having to process it on their own. In the future, we'll probably make a cloud, like a Dropbox or a OneDrive, where folks can then dump all their data. We may elect somebody who's like kind of the master stacker. And then if you want to process it on your own, just the data takes up so much space. So that may not be a problem. We're working on a solution for that even. So if all the raw data exists there and you want to stack it on your own, then more power to you. So we're looking at a couple different ways, because Sea Stars are entry-level scopes. So a lot of the folks will pull out their phone and are happy with that. So we want to make it so that you can still pull out your phone and play with it. But those of us that want to do a little bit more can do a little bit more. So that's the great thing about these scopes. There's meat on the bone to learn. Yes.
Can you stack Sea Stars with other smart scopes?
So you can actually, we've found that different, as long as you enter the data into PixInsight, from what we've experienced, that you can. Varying results, of course, because it's a newer feature that we've kind of dabbled with. And again, I'm probably the last person to talk about it, but I've seen them do it. The edges get a little bit wonky, but if you're tight in on something, you can do that.
Is there anyone in your group that's gonna write an article for one of the astronomy magazines?
We might. I know Guy wrote one for his local group, but we may reach out to somebody if they hasn't already happened.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I think it would be fun. So again, it was kind of a side project that we came up with. So we haven't put too much effort into it. This is probably the most effort I've put into it, is creating a presentation. So if there's interest, then we can certainly look at expanding and making it whatever anybody wants.
Excellent. Okay, Matt, I'm gonna give you, is that muted?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give Matt our token of our appreciation. We give this to all of our Members Corner presenters. It's a €2 coin. It was minted in commemoration of the 450th anniversary of Galileo's birth. And this is uncirculated, so that is yours,
Very good.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
And now that you've got €2, you're gonna have to sign up for that Eclipse cruise in Spain next year, right? Okay, before I forget, if there's anyone who likes to do jigsaw puzzles, this was one of the prizes at the holiday party, and 3 people have done it already. So this is the club puzzle if anybody wants to do it. Okay, this is important. The meeting next month is going to be 2 weeks later than normal. So that's already posted on the website. The emails will go out as such. So don't come here when you shouldn't. We don't want you standing out there with a locked door. So. Okay, I'm going to show these out of order so we can get all of these done before James does the planetarium show. For next month, Dr. Jamie Tayar of UF will be giving us a presentation on the Landolt artificial star. That should be interesting. And our members' corner speaker, Terry, will tell us all about the Europa Clipper mission. Okay, it's refreshment time. Take a 15-minute break. Refreshments are right outside the front door. Just a reminder, don't bring any goodies back into the planetarium. 15 minutes. Be sure to say hi to our new members and guests, after which we'll hear from James. Take a break.
So.
Got enough finished puzzles on my table right now.
Oh yeah,
Just
do you do those?
Just the constellations.
Now, my wife had a real hard time. Everything on here is real small. And Mary Ann Cheney also. My wife completed it with difficulty. Mary Ann said she could not see the fine print and everything, so she bailed out. My daughter did it and my wife did it. So
Yeah, without
that's
the
just a
fine,
warning.
without the fine print.
Hey, Richard.
I've got a quick question for you.
Okay.
Back into learning about things I forgot 20 years ago. When we was a kid,
Settings.
Johnny joined up and Jimmy was there. And George got a sergeant's rating. Don't give your right name, the army don't care. And the life is so fascinating. Let's all go Barney. Live off the army. See the world we never saw. If we get feeling down, we wander into town. And in the population should greet us with indignation. I travel to this because we like our hamburgers raw. Johnny drank up till he's got caved in, and Jimmy did not drink tea. And George retired with the lights to the gin, for the army is just a pig tea. Let's all go army, live off the army, see the world we never saw.
that's not up for, or that's not out with anybody. Would anybody like to take it home that's a member that's been active, I think, for more than 3 months? Oh, that may have been the first meeting of the society. Yeah, please don't sell it. So very well. And then just like that, it's over here. You know, the log that we saying who has it where. I have one of those. I have this 50. Hopefully, the issue. Testing. Oh, yeah.
All right, so hello everyone, and welcome back inside the planetarium. So, for those of you at Zoom, AB, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Or, well, Art's camera is, oh wait, hold on a second, whoever's on my office computer, okay, very good. Yeah, don't touch anything yet. I'll be in there in a second to start it, because I gotta do weird stuff. But before we start, I want to introduce a little bit about what I'm going to be talking about. Hold on a second. Hi. I have really bad attention deficit disorder because I'm getting older. So, okay. Hi. Okay. So before we begin my portion of it, as you know, we're going to show you Jack Horkheimer's Child of the Universe tonight. And one of the reasons that I chose to show it this evening is because this week, the International Planetarium Society, we celebrated the 100th anniversary of the modern planetarium. The first planetarium was built in Jena, Germany in 1923, and the first planetarium that opened to the public was in Munich, and it was in May of 1925. So I'm going to show you from my office a little video that's about 3 minutes long, and then after that we'll go ahead and show Child of the Universe as part of planetarium history, because it's the longest running planetarium show in the world, thanks to the folks at the Miami Planetarium and us, because we archived it. Yay. Okay, so I'm going to go into my office briefly to stop sharing on my office computer and then restart sharing, and my team is going to start the video for me, but I'll be right back. Talk among yourselves. Let's see, the whirlpool galaxy is not a whirlpool, but it is a galaxy. Discuss. John, can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to play this video. You may have to turn on the audio. One of you go ahead and mute Dave's computer. Like, Brian, thank you. Can you go mute Dave's computer? Muted in Zoom. Okay, those of you who are at home on Zoom should be able to hear what you're about to say. Okay, those of you who are at home on Zoom, you should be able to hear the video I'm about to play. Okay.
The starry sky.
Okay, so we need to make sure the audio is playing in theater. So, okay.
Fascinating.
I think what's happening is that Bluetooth for the computer back is not, it's muted, I think, so it can't transmit audio from back here. So I'm going to unmute it. Okay, where is the Bluetooth icon?
Okay, so speakers.
Tech audio. I want. Okay. Where's Bluetooth? Where's Bluetooth? Why is Bluetooth not there?
Oh. Okay, forget about video. I don't listen to such album, but it was a cool video that talks about the history of planetariums. I'll play it for the folks on Zoom, and then if I can get the Bluetooth working, we will.
And mysterious. 100 years ago, an invention that brought the sky down to earth. Inspired by the founder of the Deutsches Museum in Munich, Oskar von Miller. Developed by Walter Bauersfeld, ingenious designer at Zeiss. The first artificial stars were lit in 1923, and since 1925, were shown in the first planetarium. Today, there are more than 4,000 planetariums all over the world. The starry sky was just the beginning. Today, the projections lead us deep into space. Planetariums are our gateway to the entire universe. Planetariums tell the story of our Earth, our solar system, and our whole cosmos. They explain the night sky, awaken curiosity about the unknown, expand horizons, and inspire us for our own lives. They address the biggest questions: where we come from and who we are. Planetariums promote the understanding of global connections and excite visitors for science and technology. Planetariums offer diversity. They combine science and art, culture and education under one roof. Our knowledge of the world keeps evolving, and with it, the planetariums that present it. They have done so for 100 years and will continue to evolve in the future. What secrets do we explore next?
As all the other information. Sorry, I brought it up to a point that you're trying to help. Oh, no, it's okay. That's just for my little choir. Okay, so let me stop sharing. All right, so this is Arlington Southern.
Let me unmute. Okay. Those of you who are at home on Zoom should be able to hear me now, I think. I think so. So, anyway, I'm going to lower this a little bit. But, yes, that show debuted in Miami in April 1972, and it was repeatedly shown around the world at other planetariums because it was so popular. Because at that time, most planetarium shows, if you went to a planetarium, it was just someone, you know, talking about the stars and lecturing and so forth. But Jack Horkheimer had this gift for being able to tell a story at the same time, because he went to Purdue University, he majored in theater, and he used his love of astronomy and his knowledge of theater and showmanship to meld it together. So Child of the Universe was so profound. And it talked about how, as we observe our place in the universe and become more knowledgeable about things, we often will, it makes us feel more insignificant the more we learn. But in reality, we should feel very precious. So he talks about it with respect to art and science. He melds the two together. So this is an immersive presentation, which means our projector is going to project over the entire surface of the dome. So there are times where you may feel as if you're moving. So if at any point the visuals become a bit overwhelming, all I have to do is close your eyes for a few seconds or look at something in the room that is not moving, like the chairs in front of you, and that feeling will go away. Now, if we have to leave the planetarium together in an emergency, we have 2 emergency exits, one to your left and one to your right. When you go through those doors, just keep walking straight down the short hallway, open the doors, and that'll put us in the rock cycle garden behind the planetarium. And we ask that you don't use any flash photography, not that anyone does that anymore. And if you have a cell phone, just dim the screen to the dimmest settings, so if you do have to respond to it, the bright light from your screen won't cast a glow in the dome and distract others. Let's see, anything else? So the reason the show is here, and the reason I'm here, is because after I saw Child of the Universe, it impressed me so much that I went to the console operator at the end of the show, and I asked, how do you get to do what you do for a living? And during our conversation, that is when he invited me to become an apprentice at the planetarium, and I worked there. Eventually they hired me about a year later, and I worked there for 7 years, and that inspired me to change my major from aerospace engineering to astronomy and physics when I arrived at UF, and now I'm the director of the planetarium. Yay. And I've been here this coming October, it'll be 16 years that I've been here. Many of you have watched me get older, and my son Bryce is actually here. I don't know if you saw him earlier, he's my height. But I'll bring him out after the show. Yes. Yeah, I can't pick him up anymore. But you'll see pictures around campus of him sitting on my shoulders. That was the last picture that was taken of him on my shoulders. That was the last time he actually was on my shoulders. Okay, so everybody ready? You excited? Yay! Okay, and I recreated the show digitally because this is the original 1972 soundtrack with Sally Jesse Raphael as she's the she's the narrator during the solar system section. And William Hindman, he is the primary narrator in the presentation. All right, so go ahead and press the button, sir.
disposition, feelings, manner toward people, things, as changing as the colors and forms in a child's kaleidoscope. Man can be blessed by his attitudes, or cursed by them. They can carry him to the heights of the best within him, or plunge him to the depths of his most horrifying capabilities. Our time has seen the worst of these, and hopefully the best are yet to come. Sociologists claim that if you examine the art forms of a particular culture, you can tell where that culture is headed and what its values are. Remember the Great Wars? Remember Germany? Some saw man's indifference to himself and others building up like a great dark storm cloud in the distance. One of those men was a German. His name was Kurt Weill. He was a composer. He was perhaps one of the best popular interpreters of an age of disillusionment and indifference. And his art form was the pre-war Berlin theater. He spelled out the values of his society well, so well that he eventually had to flee his homeland. His wife, Lotte Lenya, a sensation in her era, sang his works that seem strange, almost bizarre in our time and place. But then our own popular music of the 30s appears peculiar to us now, and some wonder aloud, how could we ever have enjoyed that? The music you heard as you entered the planetarium was Weill's and Lenya's, and you might well ask, what does this have to do with the stars and the cosmos? Be patient, please, for our story is an intricate one. A story that asks you to open your mind as well as your eyes and ears. Sit back, relax, concentrate. The curtain is about to go up. The stage is the universe.
My experiments have often proved theories incorrect as well, Your Eminence.
You know you have been denounced as a heretic.
It is easy to denounce someone. All it needs is a tongue.
Your writings are said to be charged with blasphemy.
By those who have read them, but have not understood them.
The Holy Office has examined two propositions of yours. One, that the sun is the center of the universe and hence immovable. And two, that the earth is not the center of the universe and not immovable.
That is not exactly as I would phrase them myself.
We have considered these propositions and come to the following conclusions. First, that the sun does not move is foolish and absurd. So is the second.
You have not read my propositions.
You would dispute what God has created?
No, I do not dispute with God. I seek only to explain what he has set in motion. I believe that God intended the Bible as a way to show man how to go to heaven, not how the heavens go.
And so, in the name of His Holiness the Pope, you are to relinquish altogether the said opinion, no further to hold, teach, or defend it in any way whatsoever, verbally or in writing. Otherwise, proceedings will be taken against you by the Holy Office.
There is a way of seeing the world, Your Eminence, a new way, a different way, different from how man has ever seen before. This way cannot be stopped with decrees and restrictions. I have seen the universe enlarged 100 times, 1,000 times more than all the wisest men of all ages past. I have invented experiments to prove what I have seen, and my way is just the beginning.
Before Lord God made the sea and the land, he held all the stars in the palm of his hand, and there ran through his fingers like grains of sand, and one little star fell alone. Then the Lord God hunted through the wide night air for the little dark star on the wind down there. And he stated and promised he'd take special care so it wouldn't get lost again. Now a man don't mind if the stars grow dim and the clouds blow over and darken him, so long as the Lord God's watching over them, keeping track how it all goes on. But I've been walking through the night and the day till my eyes get weary and my head turns gray. And sometimes it seems maybe God's gone away, for
lost in the stars. One of Kurt Weill's songs, a complete reversal of the attitudes of the 17th century, from one extreme to the other, from man as the exalted, special creation at the center of the universe under the everlasting protection of a benevolent, supreme being, to the empty desolation of a creature who sings of desertion in an uncaring cosmos. What caused these changing attitudes? Was it man's newfound knowledge of his world and the heavens? Let's go back. Back long before the Earth began its journey through time. Back before there even was a star we call the sun. It is currently believed that all of the elements in the universe are manufactured in the heart of a star. Sometimes, due to the nature of its mass and size, a star will become violent in its old age and rip itself apart in a furious explosion that flings the atoms of its elements up through space. Billions of years ago, atoms from one or more of these angry suns came together in space, and due to the force of gravity, the atoms came still closer and closer to each other, and eventually formed a condensed pocket of gas, about 20 trillion miles across. Gravity continued the compression of the embryonic star cloud, and as a result, the center started to grow hotter and hotter, smaller and smaller. After about 12 million years, the critical value of 20 million degrees was reached. Then the dense nucleus of the cloud shrunk to about the size of our present sun. Began its life work, the job of converting hydrogen into helium. The role of a gigantic thermonuclear furnace releasing energy at the rate of thousands upon thousands of hydrogen bombs exploding every single second. A star had been born. Our sun. And slowly, for the next half-billion years or so, the remaining atoms of the new star cloud swirl and twist in silent eddies until they condense into a family of spherical companions that will attend the young sun throughout its life. Linked to their master by gravitational force, they circle in procession, and man calls them the planets. They, along with comets, asteroids, space dust, and everything else that wheels about this star, are called the solar system. And it was the discovery of the true motions within this system that caused Western man to struggle with his philosophies little more than 300 years ago. But now, prepare yourself for a journey through this complex maze of spinning globes. Our spaceship is imaginary, but the data is real. First stop will be the heart of the system itself, the sun.
Degrees hot at its surface, 25 million degrees hot at its center. Our star, all 2 billion tons of it, shudders and quakes as it overwhelms its tiny family with its energy. Comprising over 99% of the solar system's mass, it makes everything in orbit around it seem almost insignificant, incident. And without its radiant no life could exist on any one of the planets that it watches over. For the sun is the true mother of the solar system. Born 500 million years before her planets evolved from her substance, she is the beginning of the life cycle. Her light allows the miracle of photosynthesis to occur so that plants grow. And the plants sustain animal life, and the animal life returns to the soil, and the chain starts once again. 864,000 miles in diameter, the sun could swallow up over 1 million Earths and still have room for several thousand more. Seemingly quiet when viewed from a few million miles away, in reality, she's a marvelous monster, with mammoth storms streaking across her face. Storms that dwarf the tiny Earth. Storms that changed the ideas of men. Storms called sunspots that caused Galileo, the first man to observe them, to question her true nature. Only in the 20th century have Earthlings been able to fathom her complexities. Her heart, an intense core of violence where hydrogen atoms are fused into helium. Next, a layer where densely packed gas atoms undergo savage bombardment by gamma rays, which results in the formation of X-rays and ultraviolet waves. Then the photosphere, a turbulent layer 80,000 miles thick. Its outer boundary, the visible surface of the sun, churned by sunspots. The chromosphere, 10,000 miles deep, flinging arcs of hydrogen hundreds of thousands of miles out into space. And the corona, the outer atmosphere, reaching out 36 million miles away to her first child, Mercury. Tiniest planet of them all, moving with the swiftness of its namesake, the messenger of the gods, 3,000-mile wide Mercury, half as massive as it probably once was before the sun evaporated half its substance. Mercury streaks through the night, bathed in incredible heat. Until recently, it was believed that one side eternally faced toward the sun, and the other side away from it. But in 1965, radar proved that such was not the case, and that Mercury experienced night and day, as do the other planets, rotating on its axis once every 59 Earth days. Because of this unusual rotational and revolutional periods, scientists have recently nicknamed this small crater-ridden rock the Joshua Planet, the Old Testament prophet who commanded the sun to stand still over Gibeon during the battle between the Israelites and the Amorites. For if you could stand on Mercury at dawn, at its closest passage to the sun, you would see the sun come up, hang for a brief moment in the sky, drop back beyond the horizon once again, and then rise again. Ironic, isn't it? For it was that exact biblical passage that the Inquisition used to discredit Galileo. You've seen it in the morning and held it as the morning star. You've watched it glisten in the evening and called it the evening star. No star at all. Venus, named for the Roman goddess of beauty, seems to have always suffered from duality. Thought to be two different objects for centuries, she still bore the brunt of being less than an individual, even after her planetary nature was discovered by being tagged the twin sister planet of the Earth. True, her 7,600-mile diameter is a mere 300 miles less than Earth's, and her orbit only 26 million miles less from the Sun than her supposed sister. This did cause scientists during the first part of this century to state that if life could be found in the solar system, beautiful Venus would be the place to look. But Venus kept her face mysteriously hidden behind a veil, tantalizing yet secretive, until space probes and radar caught a glimpse. Call her sister if you will, but she could best be known the Sinister Sister. for her dense cloud layers are now known to trap solar radiation like a mammoth greenhouse, sending surface temperatures up to the point of melted lead. Still a beauty from afar, up close she shows her true self for what she really is, the living hell in the heavens. $142 million miles from its master, the planet that gave science fiction lovers their heyday. Reddish-brown with polar ice caps of frozen carbon dioxide, this 4,000-mile wide globe has finally shown itself to be a far cry from its novelized history. At this very moment, an American spacecraft, the Mariner probe, is continuing what has been one of the most exciting scientific adventures of the century, the mapping of another world, Mars. Pictures beam back to Earth every day, revealing more and more of this wind-swept planet that will one day see man on its surface. The legendary canals, which were once thought to be the works of a super race, turn up as great chains of mountains and valleys, faults and craters. And craters abound here as they do on the moon. Records and remnants of asteroid impacts from a distant past. Untouched by human hands, this globe has nevertheless seen the works of man. For now, a strangely silent spacecraft, fashioned by the Soviets, lies lifeless on its surface. Old mysteries have been solved, but newer ones abound with the latest information that has radioed itself back to human ears. Only time will tell. Jupiter, 10 1/2 Earths, lined up side by side, could be stretched across its middle. The largest of them all, Jupiter crosses the night, shrouded in layers of poisonous hydrogen, methane, and ammonia gas. Aptly named for the king of the gods, this sphere rules over 12 moons, 4 of which were discovered by the man who said too much, Galileo. Ringed Saturn, almost as large as the King, with a density less than that of water. Its rings, perhaps the remnants of ancient moons, circle silently, and provide man with an object of telescopic beauty, second to none. And then, as far away again as Saturn is from the Sun, Uranus. Radio signals traveling 186,000 miles a second would take 2 hours and 45 minutes to reach Earth. Unlike its neighbors, Uranus lies on its side, so that if you watched from one of its poles, you would see the Sun for 42 years, and then live in darkness for another 42. Our spacecraft pushes on, another billion miles past Neptune, another giant, 33,000 miles wide, and then it heads out for the farthest known planet in the system. It'll take another billion miles to reach it, an object little larger than Mercury. Its frozen frontiers a forbidding outpost to those who dare journey to such extremes. On a 350-degree below-zero vista, we look back at a spark that keeps this well-chilled hunk of rock tied to it by invisible chains, the sun. And with the speed of an Apollo, we hurl ourselves back, to the only known planet with life on its surface. A scant 93 million miles from its ruler, its 6 billion tons of atoms cemented together in a ball of rock 8,000 miles wide. The Earth awaits our return.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Above the sky so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
Remember how they used to fascinate you as a child? Remember those few nights when the stars were so bright you felt you could reach out and touch them? They're still there, just as they were then. The stars we're seeing now are the ones you can see tonight, about an hour or so after sunset. We're facing northeast, and over here we see 4 stars tracing out a cup, and 3 stars here, lining a long handle. The Big Dipper. Who could forget that? And here, next to the Dipper, we trace out what looks to some like a kite. The legend calls this group Boötes, the herdsmen. Here, right next to Boötes, we can see the Northern Crown. People long ago looked up and told their children the story of the Princess Ariadne of Crete and her lover Bacchus. They lived a happy life on a secluded island until Ariadne died, and then Bacchus, heartbroken, set sail, and as a last tribute he took Ariadne's 7-starred crown and hurled it into the heavens. Over here we can dimly make out an elongated letter H on its side, called Hercules for generations upon generations. We see his stars and the other stars just as those past generations saw them. Or do we? Boötes is still right here where he always has been, but we know something about him that others didn't. This star, for instance, Arcturus, the brightest in Boötes, is even more gigantic than our own sun, and so far away that it takes more than half of a century for light leaving it to reach the Earth. And that light travels at the rate of 186,262 miles every second, all the way. Or take this part of Hercules. With a pair of binoculars, you could discern a dim patch of light here, but with a good telescope, you would discover over 50,000 suns in this tiny spot. Suns fleeing through space in a group. Yes, we see the same stars, but we see them differently, because we have knowledge behind our eyes. The accumulation of knowledge seems to have always affected man's philosophies, especially when it came to the stars. Well, not just Galileo, men of his time. Let's speed up our Earth a bit so that we can see a part of the sky that's visible much later tonight. A part of the sky that caused a bit of commotion in our own time. By the early 1920s, it was generally accepted that our sun traveled through space with several million other suns called the Milky Way galaxy. And astronomers had for several years proved that our sun was not the center of it. At the center. Sound familiar? But there were puzzles in the sky, fuzzy patches of light. This was one of them. Some scientists said that those fuzzy patches were other enormous collections of suns. Others said, yeah, impossible. The universe couldn't possibly be that immense. But on New Year's Day, 1925, Edwin Hubble announced that he had trained the then new and largest telescope, the Mount Wilson 100-inch, on this patch in the constellation Andromeda, and it indeed was another family of billions of suns, like our own family. Make you feel insignificant? Insignificance. A terrible feeling. Imagine how the people of Galileo's time felt as their position at the center of the universe was slightly pushed aside with the new knowledge of the sun and its planets' true motions. Slightly pushed aside is a gross understatement when you think of the knowledge gathered in our time. Do you know where we really are now, in time and space? We have to start the light from this spot, the Andromeda Galaxy, started its journey toward Earth over 2.5 million years ago, before man walked on this planet. And this galaxy is actually one of the closest to us. Far beyond, there are over 10 billion of them, each hurtling through the night with their 100 billion suns apiece. Yes, where are we? We call ourselves the masters of this planet, our planet, the Earth. But imagine, if you will, that our world is only 48 hours old, and that it is now noon. The Earth then was created at high noon the day before yesterday. On that basis, the first form of life did not appear until noon yesterday. It was 9 o'clock last night before the first primitive sponges appeared. The first vertebrate, a fish with a backbone, did not evolve until 4 o'clock this morning, and it was 8:30 this morning, only 3.5 hours ago, that the earliest form of plant life began to grow on the land. At 9 o'clock, the amphibians appeared, and by 9:15 the insect kingdom arrived. At 10, the dinosaurs ruled the land, and they were still dominant when the first mammals appeared at 10:30. They persisted almost until 11. Then, the mammals we know today began to dominate. And finally, less than 1 minute ago, a few seconds after 11:59 a.m., man came to being. And one tiny sun watched as it all happened. How far have we come from the center of the universe since that confrontation between a cardinal and an astronomer? Man, lost in the stars, a tiny speck in the cosmos, bewilderment, indignation. Can you really blame those who have gone before us for feeling threatened by those who would change their cherished concepts? It was a sign of the times. How do we react with the new knowledge of our century? Does it bring us closer together? Remember the great wars? But if you take away the things man believes in philosophically, perhaps that's how he reacts. Some feel that science does just that. But does it? Has science really removed man from the nucleus of the universe? Or is the center of something merely a matter of perspective? Let's look into the universe, but in a different way. Not into the unending realm of stars, but in the other direction, into the infinity of the microcosm. If you could look through a microscope at a drop of water and magnify it 25 times, you might see one of these. A many-celled animal called Hydra. Or if you could look at man himself a week after conception, magnified 200 times, this is what you'd see. Enlarged 250 times, this amoeba is yet another creature who shares our planet, one of billions. Or look at nerve cells, 300 times bigger than normal, from the human brain itself. And our journey into the microcosm hasn't even begun. A bacteria, 2,000 times bigger than life. The rods of the human eye, magnified 4,500 times. The hidden universe inside you. The receptors of taste. The sensors of smell. The messengers of feeling. Balance. Hearing. Even the infinitesimal virus can no longer escape the eyes of man. Enlarged 200,000 times by the electron microscope, it too shows the order and the beauty of all that exists. And we can go further into the atom itself and the particles which comprise it. The typical atom is almost beyond comprehension, for its size is only 100 millionths of an inch. To understand how small this is in comparison to how large the macrocosm is, imagine that you can see the individual atoms in a kitchen table and that each atom is the size of a grain of sand. On this scale of enlargement, the table will be 2,000 miles long. And what of the even smaller nucleus of the atom, whose size is less than 1/trillionth of an inch? There are approximately a trillion stars in the universe, roughly the same as the number of grains of sand in all the oceans of the earth. And yet, there are a trillion atoms in a single cubic inch of an ordinary solid substance. One model of the atom states that its electrons are attracted to the nucleus and circle around it as a planet circles around the sun. Now, where is the center of the universe? Is man really displaced so very far from it after all? Or is that elusive central point merely one of perspective and relativity? Is it merely an idea rather than an ideology? The unknown often frightens many people, makes them feel lost, alone, unsure. But the unknown also excites many, makes them feel eager, elated, a part of something larger than themselves. And new knowledge of the unknown, especially knowledge that causes changes in man's ideas about his relationship to himself and others, philosophically, will always be met by both praise and hostility. It just seems to be the way of man. Let's leave the Earth behind once again, using the mind and spirit of man as our spaceship. Remember 2001, A Space Odyssey? Remember the monolith in 2001? It was a living thing, with abilities and intelligence far beyond man, a life form alien to Earthlings. Remember the secrecy that attended its discovery, secrecy deemed necessary for fear of general philosophical havoc among the nations of the Earth? Not too far removed from Galileo's era, if you think about it. 2001 was science fiction. But scientists know that its possibility is not too far removed from fact. For it is currently believed that as the universe evolves and unfolds, the formation of planets around stars is a natural process. Could it be mathematically possible that out of all the billions and billions of suns, one alone would spawn an offspring with conditions unique enough for intelligent life to evolve? If such were the case, then all of the tenets of science would have to be tossed aside. Someday, it will happen. Well, probably not in our lifetime, maybe not for 1,000 years, possibly not for 1,000,000 years. But it will happen. Life other than our own will make itself known. And how will the people of one small planet react? Will they behave like confused, bewildered, selfish children, tearing and clawing at themselves and each other because their egos are once again shattered and finding themselves less important than they believed themselves to be? Will they again fail to understand that everything that is, no matter how large or small, is a vital part of a great design and has a right to be here? Or will they marvel in awe, like a newborn child, at the beauty and complexity of the creation just seen for the first time?
You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have arrived.
Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself.
You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here, and whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should.
Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love. For in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond the wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child. You are a child of the universe. No less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive Him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life. Keep peace with your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be careful. Strive to be happy. You are a child of the universe. No less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. You are a child of the universe. No less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. You are a child of the universe. No less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. You are a child of the universe. No less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. You are a
Teammates hand out copies of the Desiderata. This was actually printed. Let's come up front. This was actually printed for the 10th anniversary back in 1982, and they used acid-free paper, so it still exists. And I have a box of like thousands of them. So, and I've been showing Child of the Universe every year since the 40th anniversary back in 2012. Yeah, so it's going to be a while before I can get rid of all of these. But if you would like multiple copies, you can have multiple copies. But I do have to say that this show, this planetarium show changed my life because, you know, I'd seen other planetarium shows, but this was the one that actually prompted me to go and talk to the person who was operating the planetarium that day. And had I not done that, I would not be standing in front of you. So there are times in your life when you will ask a very important question. Like, for example, when Joe asked Gay a question, she said yes. And and they got married. So there are many times that you never realize that the question you ask may change your life. So I want to thank Dave for, they mentioned the telescope, the 100-inch at Mount Wilson. Yeah, and Jupiter now has 95 moons, Saturn has 274, and they keep counting. Yeah. So I'm eventually probably going to make a sheet of all the things that have changed since 1972 and hand those out because I'm going to put them in the show. I kind of like the way the show flows, but yeah, it was the show's still good after 53 years. And Jack never had kids of his own, but I like to think I helped to keep child going. I'm sorry, the music is so loud, but I'll turn it down. But y'all have a safe drive. I'm going to turn it back over to Dave so he can give the benediction.
So, anything else from anybody? Okay, if not, we hope to see you Friday and or Saturday at the Star Parties. Okay? Thanks for coming.